They're live.
Hello, everybody. This is a little bit of a different thing. You don't usually see me on camera or see me actually hosting, but we're doing a little bit of a special here. Today is going to be our PC3 media special, all about AI and media and some of the things that we see in the future. There has been a really big development in AI that came out over the last week or two that really speaks to what we do in media. And I wanted to take the opportunity to kind of have a little bit of an open discussion with especially two of our hosts that you guys get to see every week, and see what their thoughts are. One's going to be leaving us, another one still has a year left. And um, so we wanted to take the opportunity to kind of pick their brains a little bit. So I'm going to bring on Maggie,
Hello.
and we're going to also talk to Jake.
Hi, that's me. I'm here too.
And what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of mediate this, and we're going to have a discussion about, like I said, about AI and what it means to media and what you guys have kind of experienced with it and your thoughts in education as well as media, that type of stuff. So we're going to go ahead and get this started with, from a media standpoint. All right, actually, let me take a step back. From an education standpoint, what have you guys seen with AI? What have you seen change in the education standpoint of AI? Maggie?
I don't know about you, Jake, but I've seen a lot of kids try a lot less at really anything and everything. Like, because you can really just be like, I need an essay, and then about this topic, and it gives you a whole essay.
And what do you agree with that, Jake?
Oh, 100%. I can say whenever I'm having writer's block, I tend to use like ChatGPT or something just to like get my like writing juices flowing. I never have it write an entire article for me, but if I'm struggling on how to word a paragraph, I'll feed it what I have currently and be like, hey, you want to beef this up a bit. And I feel like, especially for like younger writers, it's a chance to kind of look at better writing structure and like higher vocabulary that you wouldn't necessarily come across like on your own or like naturally by
Like to
yourself.
find bigger words to use and
yeah,
stuff like that.
kinda.
So from a standpoint of, you see it as a help to get you out of the writer's block, and what I'm hearing from Maggie is that you see people using it as a crutch.
Yeah, like Jake, you are you're a rare breed that will use it to help better yourself if you are like struggling like with writer's block, whereas most kids, like I'm going to say 90% of the kids, are going to use it to cheat because they don't feel like doing the work, or, oh no, I'm struggling with this class, like get a tutor.
Absolutely. And I agree with that. There are far too many kids, and I'll say this especially at Morgan. I don't know. Well, you said like 90% of kids like at your school. Like,
Oh yeah, 100%.
yeah. I don't know if it's as high as 90%, but a lot of the kids at Morgan do use ChatGPT for like a lot of their writing stuff. And I feel like it's kind of contributing to the like you said, the mindset of not having to try as hard, so they can get back to watching their Mr. Beast Mr. Beast
Yeah.
YouTube videos like Asher does.
So what do you see as the downfall or the benefit to relying so much of that in school right now? What do you see? How do I word this the right way? Where do you see that helping people once they graduate?
I think we're gonna turn into the people on the ship from Wall-E.
Yes. Honestly, that's a little scary to think about, actually, but laziness, yeah.
100%.
Because, I mean, if you're using something in school to help cheat your way through, whereas like you and my mom and my dad, they didn't have that. They had to do the work to graduate. They had to do the work to pass the class. They didn't get to just look things up to help them write an essay. They had to write it themselves.
Yeah.
So it's like no one's going to be working, and if they do, it's going to be really lazy or very not good work.
But the one like downside to writing your essay completely on AI is that I feel like I'd say probably like 70% of the time, anybody who's like familiar with like a typical high schooler's writing style or even just their individual writing style is going to notice, hey, like, okay, like this does not look right. This is like...
Yeah, like an English teacher of 30 years, she's going to be like,
Yeah, exactly. And especially ChatGPT, especially because it's only updated, I think it was January or June 2021. You'll look and you'll ask it specific facts, and it'll give you completely wrong things. Like, you can't have it cite sources. It'll make up random websites that don't work. Trust me, I've tried. I hate making citations so much.
Yeah,
that's what I used until I discovered, like, Purdue has a citation machine. Use it. It's really fast. It's really nice. And it's not going to give you a computer virus.
That's would be bad, Jake.
That's valid.
So bad if that happened.
So,
oh my god.
So let's dive into a little bit of the ethics here. And we look at those we talk about the benefit or lack of benefit once they get out of high school. Where do you see the ethics coming involved of, yes, you're cheating yourself out of the ability to learn how to do that stuff, how to cite the stuff yourself, how to get valid facts that aren't 3 years behind, that type of stuff. But where do you see the actual ethics side of it? Have either one of you actually taken that into account? Let me make sure that we understand each other. I'm kind of going at it from a cheating standpoint. In your mind, is it cheating?
It depends on the scenario. Do I think it's cheating when people use it to write their entire essay?
Yes.
Absolutely. But I also feel like there's a responsibility of the school to crack down on that. And, like, because I know plenty of kids who've gotten away with it. Like, I know maybe one kid who's gotten caught out of probably at least 100 essays. And I feel like that is fascinating. Yeah, Morgan specifically. And I don't know if it's like the trifecta of like Washington, Cal, and Morgan, because we're all linked together and we're very behind the times, especially in terms of technology. Like, they have no way to counter that. They've had the teachers have no formal training with it. I think the only one who really cares, shout out to Mrs. Thompson, the English 9 and 11 teacher. She's really the only one that like knows enough about it to either care or spot it. But I don't know, wrapping back around to the ethics, I don't think it's ethical in the majority of use cases that students use it for, but I also feel like it's not 100% like the student's fault because they're young, they're dumb, right? So like, okay, I can use this to get away with it, and schools do not stress enough how bad it actually is, because they're going to end up in college, and if they grow up to be, actually smart, they'll realize, hey, I cheated myself out of doing all this homework and growing my writing skills. And when they get into college, they're going to be like vastly
behind.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm for certain things like you, how do I word this differently? I can't think of that's different. But if you're using it to write a whole essay or do an entire, I don't know if it can do math problems because I've never touched it, but
kind of, yeah, it can.
If you I don't feel like doing my math homework today, I'm just gonna ask it how to do. It's just do your homework. You don't have to go to college.
I think from a teaching standpoint, as far as as far as the catching aspect of it is, I think the teachers are behind, not necessarily because of a fault of their own,
right? Exactly.
Because of the fact that it is so new, and I think you're dead on with the fact that it was easier for teachers to catch plagiarism before,
right? Just put it into a plagiarism
because
catcher.
there were those opportunities. we all learned from well, at least I'm going to age myself here. We all learned from the same encyclopedias, so we all knew where some of that stuff was coming from.
Yeah.
So it was easier to see some of the patterns and stuff like that. Whereas with AI now, it changes every time you put something in. So you don't necessarily catch those patterns unless you really are diving into it.
Yeah.
And trying to really pay attention to some of that stuff.
Technology changes so much too. Like every couple months there's a new iPhone. Like
Yeah.
you never how do you really expect teachers to know every little thing to be able to catch the kids who are cheating or the kids who are using certain things that they really shouldn't be using to do their schoolwork? Like it's not like even Apple Watches, kids have used those to cheat. Like
Well, actually, like in the SATs and stuff now, I'm glad they did it. They do have restrictions against it, and I think that's something that's come across in like the last 4 or 5 years.
You have to take your watches off.
Yeah, I think that was like a post-COVID thing.
That actually made me happy though. When I took mine, they were like, you had to put all of your electronics in your locker except your actual computer. I was like, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, okay, we're going to dive back into the Wally world here for a second. You talked about becoming, the people from the ship in Wally.
Yeah.
I'm gonna blow your mind here, because think about this for a second. We talked about the ethics and how it's cheating, but let's go back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier about the fact that it's not benefiting, whether it's cheating or not. It's not benefiting the people for the future. I'm going to say one thing that I think takes it a step further is we talk about robots, and everybody has always said that robots can't take over. Why? Because it's always about the physical. It's always about, yes, they can build houses. They can, you can teach them to do all that stuff. When people start relying on chat, whatever the name of it is,
Chat GPT.
that one,
whatever it is,
shows you how much I am behind it.
Yeah.
When they start relying on that and they start going into college and can't come up with the human aspect and the emotional aspect of writing and putting that stuff behind it, and they start relying on these programs, what do you think is going to happen when these companies start saying, wait a minute, we can do the physical aspect. They're not bringing in anything to the table from the writing aspect and the emotional aspect. Why are we hiring people? Why are we not hiring robots?
Yeah, that's
That's
scary.
the part that scares me.
I'm not a huge technology, but like this is the most technology I've used in my entire life being in this class, just for editing and filming and stuff. But like for the most part, like I don't know where my phone is half the time. Like I try to stay away from it just because it is kind of scary. So it's just kind of like,
just even with the current deepfakes, and I know this came about because Harvath went to the class at the Career Center about the AI, right? And props to them for finally jumping on it and doing something to kind of educate our teachers about how they're getting connivered. Even the deepfakes that are out there are so advanced by this point. It's insane. And he was talking about some kind of sports ball thing, right? You could probably explain it better than I can.
Oh, that was me, but yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, sorry.
wow, Jake.
Okay, my bad. Jennings was talking about a sports ball deepfake, about a conference of one of the head coaches that got fired, and was he going off on the team he just got fired from?
Yes.
Yeah, and
yes.
Lakers,
what we were
right?
talking about was those of you that watched last week. I believe it was during Maggie's show, and it would have been Friday because it was the day I wasn't here.
Yeah.
And I sent in the breaking news. And for those of you that didn't know, yes, that was me. I sent in the breaking news that she had to read on the air, which it did not go unnoticed that she passed it off to Asher. But
I did do that.
But
I was scared I was going to
the breaking news was that Darvin Ham 2-year coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, had gotten fired essentially because LeBron James didn't like him. Just to paraphrase. And then I want to say it was within 24 hours. Yeah, right about that. All of a sudden you saw this fake.
Oh, it came out that fast?
Oh, yeah. No,
wow.
It was fast. Nobody knew that it was a fake. It was a video of his face on the screen, and it looked like he was at a press conference, and it was him destroying the Lakers and LeBron James and all this different stuff and ripping into them. I would play the video because I actually was going to cite it. There's language in there that we can't play on here.
I'm going to have to take a look at that because that's interesting.
Yeah,
Usually
we're gonna have to watch that later.
Pick apart. Not easy, but like you actually like start to notice things. You're like, oh, wait a minute.
And so if you dive into it, I'm sure we could pick it apart.
Yeah.
But when I first saw it, I was like, whoa, okay, he's letting go. Here we go.
Because, well, I mean, like the teachers, the general public is not like expecting a deep fake. Like AI, in general, I feel like the public is uneducated about AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and there for a while, it was, for at least probably a good 12 hours or so, everybody was like, holy cow, he just like sabotaged his career. Because whether or not it was true, if he did that in real life, nobody's hiring him again.
Oh, yeah, no way.
You'd be crazy to. But that's going to lead me right in. I'm so glad you brought that up because that's going to give me that segue that's going to lead me right into the next part is the actual AI involvement in today's media and what it can do and what it can't do and in benefiting media and not. And you guys did just hear me do a mini TED Talk in there about some of it, which I do teach every once in a while.
Just occasionally.
He's not just here to throw note cards at us during our broadcasts.
It's true. We don't pay attention to that. It's a live looking. We're good. But when it comes down to the actual ethics of AI in media, that's a prime example of what I'm talking about. And what I said to you guys out there a little bit is you have the ability for somebody just that fast to throw that out there. And if people weren't so skeptical at this point of AI, that's destroying his career.
I still think they're not skeptical enough, but I'm glad someone caught it.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, for real.
The fact that people caught it as quick as they did was able to save his career. Because think of if people didn't catch it quick because of the fact that it was so, holy cow, he's going after LeBron.
Yeah.
And it was so off the reservation as far as that's not him. And why would he do that? So the fact that people had the ability to question it that fast is what helped. But dial it back a little bit. Somebody does a deep fake like that isn't so off the rails, that isn't so self-deprecating, killing your career. You're talking a whole different version of slander.
There were those that came up during the most recent election a couple years ago. And yeah, those were like all over the place. It was insane.
Yep.
It just like blows my mind because like imagine like being him and like I didn't like that never happened and nobody believing him. It's like, and it's frustrating because like when like we did have like video proof of things, especially with like crimes, you could see like, yes, he did it. Like there's video proof of it. Now like you can't even trust that.
Right.
Because it's like that's a whole nother like evidence thing that we need just thrown out the window because people are able to manipulate it into something it's not.
And some people, and you'll hear some personal feelings here. One of the things that always got me that leads right into what you were talking about is when it comes down to law and court, it always killed me, and you guys know this now from a media standpoint. It always killed me that they're like, well, if you look at that video, and they're looking at a video and they're like, holy cow, yeah, that puts you at the scene of the crime at this time, blah, blah, blah. Well, how do you know it's what time it is? Well, it's timestamps on the video.
You can edit timestamps.
You know
It's not
how
that
easy
hard.
it is to edit a timestamp?
Yeah.
I have to change the timestamp on these cameras every time I turn them on.
Yeah.
And,
It can be so easy.
That's what's always scared me about not necessarily analog, but kind of analog technology as far as that goes, leading it into bigger technology of AI. Holy cow, trying to find and dive into the intricacies of, like you said, to go back and look at that video. Okay, we might be able to pick it apart. Fast forward a year from now,
That's going to be significantly harder.
when they are able to iron out some of those flaws. Holy moly.
And I'm sure they're going to have to start training people to really get into that and pick apart those things. Because, especially like with crimes and stuff, that's going to.
I'm sure it's going to pop up in the career field in the
it
next 5 years.
It's going to have to.
It's going to be another forensic. What's the word I'm looking for? But criminal justice forensic.
Yeah, it's going to have to. They're going to have to. Every video of evidence they get, they're going to have to send it to get it checked because you never know.
And it's not just going to be a job. It's going to have to be a field. They're going to. They're going to have to.
They're going to have a whole like building for it because it's going to be so.
The one thing that does give me hope, though, because I don't know if you know this, but a lot of the AI, and you really started noticing it with like all the AI art that's out there, is AI is now pulling samples of art from previously generated AI images, so it's slowly degrading. And that's the people who don't know how to use it right. So that gives me a little hope that in general, it's not going to have as much of a public use and be that non-spottable or non-visible to like, it's not going to be invisible. So
It's like, it's frustrating.
No, I agree with you because my daughter says it all the time when AI art comes up or AI graphics. And she's like, hold on, let me see it. And she's like, I look for the 6 fingers.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Number one thing: 6 fingers. Fingers look broken. Yeah,
that's the first thing you look at.
Yeah,
usually.
She always tells me. She says that's the one thing that they struggle with the most is fingers. It's fingers and toes.
Humans struggle with fingers.
That's artists unless like they practice for years. Like that is like especially for like my sister. Producer, hey girl, she's big in art, and one of the things I've done a little bit of art too. That's like the main thing we struggle with are the fingers and the feet. Like, those they're hard to draw. It just is. So
Don't
it's
feel
like
bad. The original artist for Deadpool never drew feet in the comics, ever. If you look in every single panel, you will.
That's
see
fair.
Well, have you ever seen Da Vinci? I mean, only person with square feet. But anyways, so as we dive into some of the ethics involved and the criminal ways that this and devolving and devolving this world into Wall-E, who would have known that the was it Pixar?
Yes.
Yeah, that Pixar was the Simpsons of today, where they can spot this stuff and put out these examples of what the future is going to be and be so dead on. But
crazy.
I figured that's where Jake was going when he said the thing about what gives you hope. I figured you were going to say that you really liked Wall-E and thought the ship was going to be cool. But
maybe we'll have like Wall-E, the robot, help save the day.
Maybe.
Who would have thought that in the world of deep fakes and AI that Wall-E with his beeps and boops would be the saving grace? but let's bring it back a little bit from the ethics side, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the other side of that, which is from a media standpoint. Those of you that have been paying attention, if you haven't. There's been a massive breakthrough in the last couple weeks. Obviously, they've been working on it for a while.
Yeah.
But there's been a big breakthrough in the fact that Randy Travis, who was a huge country singer, struggled with a lot of demons as far as alcohol abuse and stuff like that, but which kind of led to him having a stroke about, I think it was 10 years ago.
Ish, yeah.
I think it was about 10 years ago, and he lost the communication side, or a big portion of the communication portion of his brain. And obviously with the paralysis and stuff like that, it makes it even harder to sing. But the vocal side just was gone. Now, for a singer, that's devastating.
Yeah,
Singer, no
that's
singing.
heartbreaking.
That's devastating.
Especially for how long he'd done it before all that. And, like, you could see how much he loved it.
Yes.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's to... it'd be the equivalent of... Actually, no, I guess it wouldn't, because I was going to say that it'd be the equivalent of a basketball player that, in one moment, your knee
Gives
is
out,
done
yeah.
and you can't play anymore. You're over. But I can't say that because
It's not
after
like they
the
lost
age
their
of
legs.
After a certain
well,
age,
after
you're done.
the age of 40, it's ending anyways.
Yeah.
You know it's pretty much done.
I mean,
You're
I guess
winding down.
if it's earlier, like early 20s, that'd be more devastating.
But right, it would
But-
be from a devastating standpoint, yes. But I mean, I guess we can't even, make an example of it because you can sing until you're 80.
yeah.
80s.
You can sing. If you
Maggie will just
you-
turn on a show, you'll hear it.
Yeah, just listen to my show.
But
If you
when
take care
we-
of your voice, yeah.
when we look at the ethical side, we see the other side. We see the upside with this because what happened in the last 2 weeks is Randy Travis, due to AI and some of the stuff that they were able to do, he didn't get his voice back. It's a little premature to say that, but they were able to produce a new track it's a brand new song from his that does have his voice on it. Now, we're going to play the video for you here in just a second. Take a look at it, and it's the official music video from Randy Travis's page. We don't own this. We're not claiming ownership to this at all. I just thought that it was something that you as the viewers would really be interested to see and see what we're talking about here. And then when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the F song. That was the one that just got released. It was about a week ago, maybe a little bit over. And that is, like I just said, that's new music from Randy Travis that he hasn't released anything in. It's been over 10 years for sure. And the fact that he was involved in the making of it, he was very involved in it. But the fact that he was able to do that is a different ethical, what are your thoughts on that aspect of it?
That's great. Good for him. He wrote it, didn't he?
Yeah, he was, yes.
So, and you can, see in that video, obviously he was there through the whole process, and he got his, air quotes, he got his voice back, but, isn't actually singing, but is singing. It's a weird thing, but it's almost like it's hard for me, because I do know quite a few of his songs, just because we grew up a little country as well.
Okay.
It's not him, though.
No. For those of you that don't know exactly, because they don't touch on it in the music video, you don't see that aspect of it, is there is a different singer
Yep.
that is laying what is called the bass track, which is just, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just the groundwork
Yeah.
of what the AI is going to manipulate.
Yeah, it's like a foundation of
Yes.
a house, if you will.
Yes. And the AI is going to build on top of it. And
They use
It's like the filters that people use
Yes.
for their voice.
yeah,
but
they've
it's a lot
used
more
tracks
advanced.
from him singing in old albums
Right.
and were able to put that on top of the other guy's voice, and
which is it's really cool.
it's cool that they were able to do that.
Yes.
Like, it does sound a lot like him,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just kind of like sad.
Jake, what's your thoughts on it?
So, if you take a look at the ethical side of it and you think about it for a little bit, you go, wait, they have, I'm not going to say a perfect, because I know they were struggling with, like, masking another song with his
Yes.
voice.
Yeah, I was going to get
But
into that.
they still have a very good groundwork for essentially stealing his voice, I'd say. And that scares me because obviously artist songs are out there for everybody. I could do that at home.
Yes.
Albeit it would take a lot longer, but I could do that at
But
home.
you could figure it out.
Right. And it wouldn't be like the crappy AI covers of songs. It'd be incredibly believable if you follow, the same process. And that's kind of what scares me, because then studios can go around and turn this on their artists and
Yeah.
go, hey, we just, made this song up. Put your voice on it.
There you
When-
go.
When
Yeah.
you start out in the music industry, the record companies own your likeness, own you, basically.
They own you, yeah.
What would stop
Nothing.
a record company of taking, we're going to pay for your original, your masters. We're for you to make your masters, do the masters, come back. And the artists are like, I hate the sounds of this. I don't like it. I don't want this released. And it happens
Too bad.
all the time. And they say, well, here's what we want you to switch. We want you to switch this track, this part of the track here, blah, blah, blah. And the artists say, no, I'm not doing that. And then they turn around and say,
And do stuff like that.
okay, that's fine. We're going to shelve you for a while. You go sit. And this happens, has been happening since the beginning of the recording industry. It's why artists get shelved all the time. But now they go home and they're like, well, my stuff's going to sit here for the next 6 years. And all of a sudden, 6 months from now, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. That song sounds a lot like what I did in the studio. And they can't do anything because now they can manipulate it all they want. They've got
Yeah.
the stuff to match it. Whereas before, they couldn't really do that. They could somewhat. But if you weren't matching the same exact inflection and stuff like that, it was really hard for them to really manipulate it. But now
Now it's done with a press of a button.
that's
Yeah.
it.
First glance, the ethics point of view, it's like, oh yeah, like that's good, that's awesome. He gets his voice back, whatever. But if you look
Then
just a
consider the
little
artists.
deeper, it can be so bad.
Consider
Now-
the artists that are going to get screwed over by that.
Well,
Yeah.
and I got into it with you guys in there and really started to talk about it is the part that scares me is I don't know how much he wanted this. I'm sure he did. I'm
Yeah.
sure he really did. So, and the fact that he's a legend will really help him in that aspect. But how do I say this? We just talked about how much the record industry owns you. For those that really don't know, although Taylor Swift shined a lot of light on this, as far as the release of singles and records and albums, artists don't get much of anything off of those. For every dollar, they get usually like 1.50 cents, 2 cents. I can tell you, off of the sales, that's what they get. I can tell you for every time we play an artist song, that this is from our own thing. Every time that we play an artist song, they get 1/10 cent. So think about that. How many times I would have to play Taylor Swift to even see $1?
A lot.
You know, so
Well,
they don't get
that
money
is-
off of that. They get their money off of touring
Yeah.
and merchandise sales. Now, with the release of this single, he's probably going to get some merch. I'm sure he is.
Yeah, especially with older fans that hear it.
But unless he's got a sweetheart deal, like I said, he's a legend, so he might. Unless he's got a sweetheart deal, record company's the one profiting off of that.
Yeah, he can't tour
Right. He can't tour.
because he didn't actually sing it.
Right. You know, because he
He
can't
can't.
actually. So, I mean, he can sing. He could do. You guys saw the video earlier. Those of you at home didn't get a chance to see it, but he has sang "Amazing Grace"
Yes.
at the Hall of Fame, which was incredibly emotional if you get a chance to see it. But that's the limit. That's his limit of where he can go. So that scares me for artists. And that's when you start getting into the other side of the ethics with it is AI just scares me.
Yeah, I'm 100% okay I'll be 100% thrilled if that just disappeared one day. Like, you think about it. You don't need it. You survived without it. My parents, your parent, like, everybody survived without it at some point. Like, we don't need it.
I wish I had it when I was in school.
It's
I totally would have been one.
I'm sure you do.
Are you saying you would use this to write all your essays, Jennings?
My grades would have been a whole lot better than they were.
But
I
it's just like, you don't need it.
It's such a conundrum because we should eliminate AI in some areas. For example, I don't think it should have a place in the music industry just because of how, like, artists can get screwed over even more than they already do.
Yeah,
right?
and artists work so hard.
I think it really comes down to, and I think you're saying this is, I make jokes about it all the time, but just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly.
And this is a prime example because I don't know about you, but I hate to say it this way, and don't send me your letters. Send your letters to jharvath at valparaiso.k12.in, send your hate that way.
Oh my God.
I don't trust people.
That's fair.
When that stuff is out there, yes, it has it you see the benefit of what it can do and help him get his voice back, which is awesome. I don't trust that people are going to just leave it there.
I agree, and I
Yeah.
feel like even just doing that good thing for him has opened up a whole Pandora's box.
Yes.
And I feel
Yeah,
like
it
it's
did.
not going to be anything positive is really going to come out of that. Because, I mean, they did it for him because he's a legend. Imagine a smaller artist.
Right.
Record's not going to care enough to do that.
No.
No.
We'll put AI in a pro-con list. There are going to be so many more cons than there are pros. I'm
I think
sorry.
so.
And, people, when you do a pro-con list, if it has more cons, you ain't going to do it, are you?
And I was actually just talking about AI with my mom just a couple of weeks ago, and she works in the finance industry. And she was saying how it's nice. Like, it's a convenient thing. Right. And I feel like that's one of the areas where I don't see an issue with it personally. Especially with it potentially on its base level being fair and impartial. So, like, I feel like there's just certain areas where we really, really, really don't need it, and actually it'd be worse if we have it in said areas.
Yeah,
And
it should be harder to access it,
Mhm.
to
agree.
create things with it.
I think because it's so new, we don't have any laws or rules surrounding it. So it's basically fair game for anybody to go on, and I'm sure companies are rushing towards this because they know it's really not regulated in the slightest. So
Right.
they're going to abuse the crap out of it until they can't anymore. Until if it gets limited by, like, lawmakers or whoever.
Yeah. I hope that you guys enjoyed this this change. It's a little different than what we normally do. It's not usually me doing this, but I wanted to give everybody in the PC3 family the opportunity to kind of hear not just from me and my thoughts on this, but the thoughts of some of the staff here. And I think next week, stay tuned, because over the next couple weeks, as we begin to say goodbye to our departing seniors,
don't remind me.
You guys will get an opportunity to hear a little bit more from them in different capacities than their normal shows. So stay tuned over the next couple weeks. And Jake, I'm going to give you an opportunity to give a parting thought on AI.
Ooh, a parting thought on AI. Ooh, okay, that's a big thing. You know what? I'm gonna end it off with this. For my music video, I used AI to choose that song because I was so indecisive. I gave it my entire list. You know how I told Horvath I was gonna spin a wheel? Gave it to AI. Said, hey, which one's gonna best represent and help me make a song about struggling with ADHD? And it gave me the one I wanted. And I was like, listen to it. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, you know what? I like it. So yeah. Anyways.
Well, and see, that one I can see as an ethical use.
See,
That's
exactly.
Not bad.
That's I can't decide this or that. Okay, It's basically just like putting it on a colorful wheel and
Are you
spinning
ready
the
to
wheel.
play this or that? No, I'm not. Please choose for me.
Yeah.
Okay, Maggie, what's your parting thought?
Get rid of it. I don't trust it.
All right.
That's what I got.
Okay,
Black and white. Cool.
Short, sweet, and to the point.
So as we say goodbye, I will give my parting thought on this, which is, like I said, I don't trust humans and their ability to leave it alone. And so therefore, when it comes down to it, I don't trust it on its face value. I don't. And until I see major improvements in some of the being able to police it and stuff like that, I don't agree with its
Existence.
place. I don't. Especially in the media industry, because it's so easy to do these fakes and really screw everybody up. So with that being said, this was PC3 Media's special on AI and the future. And we hope to have you back in the next couple weeks as we say goodbye to some of our seniors. So have a good day, and we will see you later.
Bye.
Bye.